is Miki Coppinger. I'm doing my career profile number 2 on a case manager. My case manager that I spoke to, an adoption case manager, was Jean Marie Hughes at LDS Family Services. I also, for a short time, was able to speak with Nick Hewlett at Catholic Charities, who is a case worker, not a case manager. And there's a difference, which I'll get to down in the education portion. I only included LDS Family Services on my paper because she was the only one who had the time to speak to me extensively. Let's see, working environment. This particular location only employs 8 employees, and a good half of those are part-time. So it's a very small environment in the offices, but LDS Family Services has locations all over the United States, in New Zealand and England and South America. They're everywhere. So overall, it's a pretty large organization, but in office, it's pretty small. Let's see. Jean Marie keeps very busy. Adoption is a very busy career with very little flexibility. When the phone rings, Jean Marie has to go. She can't put it off and decide when it best fits her schedule. It's a go-now basis. Typical stressors. Jean Marie works very long hours, and she works in an environment in which people can be very stressed. We have birth mothers in crisis, adoptive couples who may be dealing with infertility, and then of course families on both sides that may be under duress in some way. There's also the other people in the office are counselors who are dealing with difficult situations with families. Let's see, there's also attorneys who of course have to deal with the litigation end of it, which can also be very stressful. Occasionally there's a failed placement, and that's hard on everybody. Jean Marie stressed that failed placements are rare, so it's not a huge stressor that occurs every day, but it can be very stressful. Since she's a church employee, she says sometimes it's hard to hide from her job. People will hear about things that are going on, including failed placements and things of that nature, and they want to know the lowdown, and she can't divulge any information, so that can be pretty stressful. And also this field deals with a lot of litigation, and so there's a lot of stress in litigation. Typical benefits in this: she works for LDS Family Services, which means she enjoys the same benefits as a church employee, including health insurance, life insurance. She has a pension called a 403B because they're a nonprofit. It's much like a 401k, just structured slightly differently. And then of course she has a little bit of paid time off. Basically all the basic benefits is what she gets. Common job tasks. Now get ready. She's extremely busy. This is a long list. In this job, she fields a lot of phone calls from other caseworkers, attorneys, adoptive families, sometimes a birth mother if her caseworker is not available, a lot of people. She's often called upon to serve as customer service when dealing with potential adoptive couples. We say potential because until they're placed, they are potential adoptive couples. She's the intake caseworker for all new couples and manages many waiting couples. She oversees all aspects of getting couples ready for placement, including consultations, home studies, background checks, training. There's a certain number of hours that these couples have to go through in order to be placement ready. And then she posts their profiles to itsaboutlove.org. At the time of placement, she gets legal documentation prepared. She obtains relinquishments. Most difficult ones, of course, can be the birth fathers. Visits to birth mothers and babies who are in the hospital at the time of birth, of course, or if there's complications, she may be checking in on them to see what the complications are and how things are going. She maintains an adoption log that can help with connecting birth parents and their children down the road should the need arise. It's more for licensing. It's something that's required by law that they keep. In the case of special needs children, she has to apply for subsidies. She will have councils with bishops. At the time of finalization, she coordinates the attorneys and attends court hearings to obtain the legal finalization for babies, for the placed babies. She literally goes into the courtroom and presents to the judge the evidence that the home studies are complete, and that these are suitable parents for the child placed with them, and that this is in the best interest of the child. See, she also, she has a support group for birth mothers, and she recently began one for birth grandmothers, because there's a lot of emotionality after a baby is placed. Let's see. Oh, and I failed to mention that case studies, they occur prior to placement, after placement. I believe in the state of Nevada there must be 3 before the time of finalization. So she has to oversee all of that. They have part-time social workers who will go and take care of those, but it's her job to make sure they're done. As I mentioned, Jean Marie is a manager, so there's a lot of office matters that she has to deal with. And in the structure of her office, she answers to a regional manager, so some of the problems in the office can't be dealt with in office. She'll have to travel at times to go and deal with matters. And Jean Marie also oversees an advocacy group called Families Supporting Adoption, of which I'm a huge fan. Been a member for 4 years and worked with her there. Educational requirements. Here's where Catholic Charities comes in. Jean Marie has a master's degree in social work. She's a licensed clinical social worker, so for her job, we'd need a master's degree. My friend Nick over at Catholic Charities is a caseworker. I mean, he works at the bachelor's level. So there's a possibility of working with a bachelor's degree as opposed to a master's degree. Starting salary range, with a bachelor's it starts around $30,000. An experienced salary range with a master's degree can get upwards of $80,000 to $90,000 a year. Miscellaneous career information. This is a job you have to love. It does have a great deal of stress, and it does require a lot of time. It's never boring, Jean Marie says, as when she comes into the office, she never knows what she's going to deal with from day to day. There could be a crisis, there could just be a large amount of work to be done because they just had a number of babies born, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of variation. This job is really great when things go well, and can be really, really awful at times when things go south. Her office covers 27 states, so obviously that busyness is there. And again, my information source is Jean Marie Hughes.